The UFL Gambling Podcast Playoff Reaction Show and Power Rankings episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times the amount of money you enter with their new Pick 8. Yes, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props for and picks for Rhythm. Claim your free 7-day trial period today because that's awesome. You get a free week. SportsGamblingPodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's SportsGamblingPodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
This is Coach June Jones, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Football is a unique American experience. A game described by one turn-of-the-century critic as crude and barbaric, with little chance of survival. But survive it did.
I don't give a damn who you are. This is America, Jack. You know how to play winning high-dose football? I don't get it.
Being played in the United States Football League.
Oh my God! The quarterback is toast.
We sometimes forget that football, being the consummate team sport, is a great deal more successful when you do play as a unit and don't rely on individual talent. Frankly, I'm impressed with the USFL.
America, this league is good for America, and football is a sport that is made for television.
Unlike spring football is going to work in America.
You play to win the game. And now it is time for our USFL report.
Boom! We are back, and the road to the Freedom Cup is set. We know one of these two teams is going to win the Freedom Cup. As we've had the first UFL playoffs in the books, the first round as we load up for St. Louis Freedom Cup. Shout out to the chat. Remember, folks, you can watch this episode or any of our episodes at UFL Gambling Pod on YouTube. So youtube.com/@UFL Gambling Pod, and don't forget we are on X. Give us a follow at UFL Gambling Pod on Twitter or X. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Well, the cows have come home to roost, baby. All right. Quote the great Naked Gun while I play Naked Gun.
Yes.
I couldn't help but chuckle at a few of these outcomes, a few of these moments in the games, in the United Football League where crossroads meet bullshit. Yes. We got a Freedom Cup coming. I am joined by my co-host. He is the host of the Bottom Line Bombs podcast. He's already been talking a large amount of shit, let me tell you. Give it up for the bet detective, a.k.a. Scumbagger Vance, CJ Sullivan. How you doing, buddy?
Good, buddy. Great to see the Brahma Bombs come through. I guess that's what you're talking about. I mean, it's not like I'm against you guys. I wanted you guys to join me on this party for months now, for weeks. These Brahmas have been a cover machine. They've been on a roll. They're on their way up. I mean, their defense is legit, and they did exactly what I thought there was going to happen in that game last night versus St. Louis. They showed you a little week before. They're ready to dominate, and I'll just enjoy the moment right now. Brahmas are in the championship game. Brahmas are in the championship game against a team that did you see that, by the way? afterwards when they were interviewing Wade, when he's like, man, you got Birmingham next week in a championship game. You know, they only lost to one team. He's like, yeah, I know. It was us. We're the ones that beat them. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, that was you, wasn't it? Like, even the people paid to watch this game don't fucking know that anything is going on.
The bet detective sounded like this.
The best looking man, the best dressed man, long limousines, jet airplanes, custom made clothes, and any woman in the world I want, just like that.
That's either Bet Detective or Wade Phillips.
That's right.
You figure it out.
Absolutely. That is son of a bum. Wade afterwards. He was great. When they finally told him that, yes, they won and he was a part of it, it was a fun ride to be a part of.
Yes. And we are also joined by third man in the booth. Kaka is what he is known to say. Give it up for the host of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast, Justin Mark, a.k.a. J Mark. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Disappointed that the Battlehawks didn't show up to the game, it seemed like, and they were terribly coached, but we'll get into that. Other than that, doing good.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into that. Let's just go right from the start, chronologically. Like we try to be professionals on this goddamn show, all right?
Well, I mean, yeah, sure, we can do that. We're the hot item. I mean, everyone wants to talk Brahmas, but all right.
Since we're about 90% of the human population that gets paid to actually cover this league.
Yeah.
How many people do you think get paid to cover this league?
Well, I was just saying, the guy who interviewed him last night didn't even know they fucking beat him.
And he's definitely
he works for Fox.
Allegedly. So game one was one of the most hilarious games I've seen in my life.
8 turnovers.
I feel like in like 12 plays in a row.
Right.
But I was so angry in the first half because of 2 horrible calls that I thought set up Michigan. Now, I still will say Michigan was playing better than Birmingham in the first half, but 2 of those calls I thought prolonged their drives. The first roughing. Now, the second roughing, I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm not okay with it, but I understand it. It's a stupid play. The first roughing was just ridiculous. The amount of text messages I got like 9 text messages from friends being like, I can't watch this game. Right. I can't watch after that first roughing. But then you had,
I need to be a part of this group thread of these 9 angry Colbys, like 12 angry men, pitching about the softness of the UFL and a 15-yard penalty.
Well, that shit was on third down too, man. That shit extended the drive. And then the pass interference, or no, it wasn't. It was not pass interference. It was, they said helmet to helmet. They didn't review it. I don't understand the purpose of this fucking league, because I feel like a year ago they would review every play, and this one it's like they show the replay and it's like, no, he definitely did not, use the crown of his helmet to, this, but that extended their drive, which they got scores on both of those drives. It drove me a little crazy, but I'll say this, Adrian Martinez looked like a fucking deer in the headlights. He was very rattled. But I did call for a defensive touchdown by the Birmingham Stallions. Pick 6, I said. It did come true. And let's talk about this third quarter, because is this good for the league? I love it personally. Like, make defense great again. All right. There was 8 turnovers in like 15 plays, and it was fucking hilarious to me. Like, play after play. Whether it was Martinez fumble when everyone thought he was down at first, the interceptions going back and forth, it to me was highly entertaining in the third quarter. Now, I know some people say, I saw people on Twitter say this game is terrible, and I like football like that. You know what I mean? I do like, to me, like if you're just seeing like efficient offenses after efficient offense, I find it quite boring. The Bet Detective, your thoughts on us cashing the over on Birmingham, which I think we were all on the over, I believe, right?
Yep.
And
we were.
And Matt Corral, who starts next week, but what'd you make of this game?
And I had Birmingham as well, and I feel like I was on the wrong side. I feel Michigan played better. They were I won't say the better team
in the first half.
For sure, and that's kind of where they lost the game, where they had 4 field goals or whatever it was, especially the 25-yarder. That was a killer. Then they missed one at the end, but like you need to score touchdowns there. Like,
I mean, Birmingham
field goals.
Birmingham was still averaging like 7 yards a play.
I know what the yards, but I mean after that, but when they went, they have to, after the fumble. There was a couple turnovers that were defense. The other were just bad. Like Etling's interceptions were bad. They were just fucking like.
They could have used Bryce Perkins in this game.
I mean, that was awful, right? And how hilarious was Skip Holtz afterwards? We went out of his way to congratulate Etling and like tweet about him, like how proud he was of him, and like how he's a fighter for him, and he's rooting for him. Yeah.
Let me know if I can ever help you. He said too. As they left, he goes, "Let me know if I can ever help you." All right.
Because I just helped you get to the championship game. That's what I just did. I just gifted it to you. But Nate McRae was great. He was running right through them. I mean, Michigan, that defense looked good for a while, and then there was too many field goals. And then once that pick six happened, that was just like, oh, you kind of knew the floodgates were open. So it was a misleading score. I think Michigan was the correct side. The block field goal, of course, didn't help, but either way. But now they have a real dilemma on their hands. Your MVP, your god of all gods, AJ Martinez, was terrible. He got yanked, and if they didn't yank him, I don't think they win that game. I don't think he.
I agree. I do agree with that, but I also agree that I think, actually, I don't know if you've said I'm not agreeing. I guess, but I also will state.
I'm not saying start Corral next week. Yeah. I'm not saying that, but they do have a dilemma on their hands. He will definitely have a much shorter leash in the championship game. I think you have to give Martinez the benefit of the doubt. I mean, he's a guy that's been.
But I think you play both. I think you play both because it makes to me, and I know this goes against what I said like back in week 3. I was like, what are you doing? Playing 2 quarterbacks. I think it makes it incredibly hard to prepare for both because they're very different in their approach. To me, like Corral is much more of a quote unquote passer.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't think. I think you're going to need a rusher. I think you're going to need Martinez against this D-line.
That's why you play both. You play both.
D-line of San Antonio. What do you think of that ref cam though? I was kind of fun to get it. There were so many fumble huddles to get into. That's the ref cam. With the GoPro on their head, whatever. They're ripping people off, and people are fighting back and hear a little shit talking. That was fun. That was a fun little aspect for it. Other than that, though, I don't know.
J Mark, your thoughts on the game?
I mean, as a Stallions backer in the game, I was a little nervous after that first half, but I think what it really came down to is red zone efficiency, right? Stallions 3 trips to the red zone. They scored, or they had 2 touchdowns. Panthers 2 trips, 0 touchdowns. You can't go to a final if you can't score touchdowns in the red zone. I mean, that's what it's all about, converting points, converting opportunities. So it was a good game overall, though. I liked the defense. If you're talking to a Bears fan that for many years, defensive touchdowns and kick returns is all we had to go on. So I liked the defensive back and forth battle that we had going for a while. So, but overall, it was a good game. I think.
Who do you start next week?
I do think you play both, but I think you start Martinez. I think Martinez starts the game. I think the score probably isn't an exact reflection of the game necessarily. I think it should have been closer, or it was played closer than 31-18. But Stallions are out to prove it that they're the team to beat, and they're going to do 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Leaping ahead already. But I mean, will you guys finally admit that the Stallions, it wasn't all motivation and they are seeing being vulnerable though a little bit? I mean, this is not the same team, even from the beginning of the year or in the middle of the year when they were just blowing through and just dominating on both sides of the line. Right now you're seeing teams stepping up to them and not being afraid of them. And especially you're going to see that again next week with San Antonio, a team that just beat them.
He's already tipping his.
Well, I was saying Michigan wasn't afraid. They played them they've definitely come back to the pack, I think.
I'll say this.
You have to admit that in a game that mattered now that you saw it with your eyes.
Well, to me, what was vulnerable was Adrian Martinez's struggle. As far as the rest of the team, I don't know if I would say that because, I still think this team is better than every other. Michigan needed a fake. They had a fake punt. They had 2 calls that prolonged drives. And Michigan played better the first half. Don't get me wrong. But that to me is a testament to the whole Stallions rosters. You're still able to win by this many points, still gets average 7 yards of play, and you played horrible for a half of football.
Well, this Birmingham Emperor has no clothes. I've been telling you this for months, and it's finally gonna happen. Son of a bum, finish the deal.
You can't win.
But Drunken Irishman says he agrees with Scumbagger fans. So.
Yeah, that's right, Drunken Irishman. Absolutely. Because he watches it. He opens his eyes. He's not just drinking the Southern Birmingham moonshine Kool-Aid.
And let me tell you about San Antonio's wins. You want to go one by one on the bullshit that's been served in this league?
I want to talk about things after week 7. Although at one point I was going to, well, we'll get to that game coming up. It would have been funny if San Antonio lost the game they dominated last night by those stupid rules.
Yes.
If St. Louis could have, luckily Tony Meatball was
maybe Birmingham does that to them. Maybe San Antonio dominates.
That would definitely make you happy for sure.
By the way, Kai Nakua's pass looked pretty good.
Right? Look good. What's his QB rating now?
That's what I'm saying. Etling was 18 of 29.
Etling was so fucking bad. That's what tilted me even more. I mean, come on, Nolan. Why are you playing Perkins in a meaningless game? They win that game if Perkins is the quarterback. All they do is get one.
I do think you're right, but here's my problem. That was part of my handicap, even if he was healthy, was that they never just play Perkins the whole game.
Right.
They're like,
they would have played 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah. They're like, here's 10 snaps for you. All right. Like,
yeah,
it's a mind fuck. I don't understand it, but, let's jump on over to the other game. But before we do that, I want to tell you folks out there that you are listening to the UFL Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And make sure to check out our new daily podcast dedicated to giving out underdog picks, the Daily Dog. Yes, new 10-minute episodes dropping Monday through Friday. The Daily Dog, wherever you get your podcast. Also, the Circa in Las Vegas there announced they're giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes for Circa Survivor and Circa Million. Sign up in Vegas and play from anywhere with footballcontestproxy.com, promo code SGP to get $50 off. Once again, that's footballcontestproxy.com, promo code SGP. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, which does have UFL action, folks, and Pick 8 is now live. It's live just in time for the NBA Finals. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement, you better believe, is higher than ever. The best part is you can win up to 325 times the amount of your entry. So what the hell are you doing? You now can use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So do not miss your chance to try it out before it's all gone. Sign up with Underdog Fantasy with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code TCESGPN. All right. We are back. Drunken Irishman says, I know San Antonio has some bullshit wins, but they have found something, and son of a bum is going to lead them to a championship.
Don't apologize for their wins, Drunken Irishman. Now you're feeding into Colby's narrative. Listen, they use the same rules everyone else did. Well, they got to where they are, but they are a different team than those teams that weaseled by with those victories for sure. They are. I mean, if you can't admit that, then you're just not watching their defense.
They are a little bit of a different team, but at the same time, they also played like. Me and J Mark were having this conversation before we went live on. I never thought St. Louis was great. You know, I thought they were okay. They're a finesse team. They're a fucking finesse team.
Here we go. Listen, I'm
just
not saying
for the record, I never said they weren't good.
Right.
Yeah.
They were very good. And they were the second best team all year until
not in my power rankings. Michigan Panthers
until a couple weeks ago. Well, you were wrong. St. Louis was the second best team.
No, Michigan's better. Michigan beat them head to head.
In week 2.
Oh, and they only played once. All right.
You know, we're going head to head. Fine. San Antonio is better than Birmingham then.
Yeah, they play again. They play again.
Nope. End the season now. Give them the Freedom Cup.
No, but let's talk about.
But I'll say last night's St. Louis team is not better than Michigan for sure. That the St. Louis the last month, to be honest with you, their last 4 games, they're on their way down. And obviously the McCarron injury was 90% of it, but that defense was playing much worse. I mean, it was just the whole team was just not clicking.
The coaching, man. You want to talk? You're gonna blame Mike Nolan. The worst coach of the whole fucking weekend was Tony Meatball Anthony Beck with some complete blunders. Like I don't know how you don't kick a field goal earlier. Joel Klatt was all on top of it, and then. J Mark, I know that you texted this. This was one of the funniest fucking things. They had just interviewed AJ McCarron. on the sideline. He's like, you know what? I feel like shit.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm injured. I'm just trying to make it work. And then they dial up the Philly special for him like 30 seconds later.
They threw him a regular pass. They threw an extra point. They threw it to him. What the fuck were they doing? What's Meatball doing?
I have a theory. He felt like he couldn't bench him. So he's like, maybe if I draw up some plays where he's going to get hit, he'll get injured and he can't play. Then we can put Manny Wilkins in. I don't know.
Wait, I feel like there was another thing. I think it was like a 4th and 1 that he punted. Was that it? I can't even remember if it was that game or the Michigan game right now. But
both teams punted. San Antonio bumped some of them. I think they punted on 4th down, like from St. Louis is like 40 or something like crazy. We're like, we might kick a field goal at that point. What the hell? They're fucking punting. It was insane.
I will say this: San Antonio to me is a super dangerous team if they keep pounding the rock to Anthony McFarland. Like, we didn't know he was going to play. My DFS lineup would have been so much different.
I was so tilting. I mean,
he's so good, man. I honestly don't understand. I know he was injured a few weeks, but he jumps off screen. You don't get that often in these leagues. Like I said, Cavante Turpin a couple years ago with the New Jersey Generals was one where I feel like, you just knew, and he ends up making the Pro Bowl in the NFL. But you just knew that you're like, this guy is better than everyone on the field. I feel the same way every time I see the ball in Anthony McFarland's hands.
I don't understand the injury report in this league. It went from him and Lovett. Both Lovett. They said they were both out on the IR. They're done for the year. Get NFL training camps. And next you know, they're 100% healthy, ripping off fucking 200-yard run. 200 total yards combined. I'm sitting there with my fucking thumb up my ass with the 3rd string running back, starting my DFS lineup.
How did they not demand you turn in the fucking this isn't a hard thing to do. I understand it in college, where it's a little more complicated. If you own the whole league, like colleges per conference, your rules are different. So when you're playing, it's a harder thing to achieve. In any pro league, injury reports should happen 48 hours before the fucking game. And you got to stick to those. I don't understand it. I don't understand how we don't find this information out. Especially if you're trying to grow your league from a gambling point of view, because we did piss away money by rostering.
Yeah, they lean heavily on gambling.
Yeah.
I mean,
I hate to burst your guys' bubbles, but the UFL communications department that tweets out the active and inactive, they tweeted out that McFarland and Lovett would be active.
When was this? What day was this?
2 days ago, so it would have been Saturday.
Thanks.
That's now we're getting to it. That's the point.
Yeah. And all week long they're saying out for. You can't. They have it revert. You can't go from out of the game to healthy. It goes probable, questionable, doubtful. It goes the other way. You can't say he's out then pull him back in. You got to push him towards out.
But McFarland, I had seen that he was going to be done for the season. Am I crazy?
Right.
Well, they didn't think they'd make the playoffs.
McFarland
do. They've been the Brahmas have been a wagon, money line against the spread, and they've been an under wagon. By the way, I was on the under for sure. I know a couple of guys were on the over, but that was, of course, we got a little fortunate that Tony Meatball didn't want to kick a field goal there at the end.
No, I was on the over, dude. I'm like, what are you doing? You piece of shit. Yeah. God. And it gives him the best chance at actually coming back, and it's like, nope. Just going to continue this train.
They had a defensive touchdown too. This game should have been even more of a blowout than it was.
Yeah.
This score is not even close.
You're right. And the matchup, was dominated. 410 yards for San Antonio, 239 for St. Louis, and McFarland 11 rushes, 115 yards, 1 touchdown, the longest rushing touchdown in UFL history. And this is, I don't understand how he I still don't understand how he only gets 10 carries. Even with this dominating of a performance, it's I just don't understand how these coaches fail. They got to get better coaches next year. They got to get better coaches, because to me,
even in the first game, McCrary only had 11 carries and he was averaging 5.8 a pop. No one else was even doing anything.
Yeah,
I don't understand it. Although I got to hear you have Lovett, but this was It didn't matter. Everything.
No, but McFarland, we've said this all year. Like, you watch it and you're just like, he's an NFL player. Sure. I don't care. I know he's not on an NFL roster right now, but he is better than the league at that position. You watch it and you're just like, he's just quicker and faster, more elusive than all of those other players that we see. And for some reason, he's not even the leading rusher with attempts on the team. Now, I know he was injured a couple games, but some of it was just
he's coming back from injury.
Some of it was incompetence.
They have a championship game to worry about as well. I mean, they 11 for 115, Lovett at 18 for 83. It's not like he was doing nothing. I
didn't think he was going to play either, but he's good.
I know, and he gets 18 carries, unbelievable. And I'm sitting here with fucking Ellison 2 for 2.
J. Mark, what's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, it was just dominance by especially by the defensive line. The Brahmas defensive line. I mean, they knew McCarron couldn't move around, and they just capitalized on that. Let's sink guys on both sides so he can't move anywhere out of the pocket and wait for it to collapse on him. Trust our defense to cover, and that's what they did. It was a good game plan by Son of Bum, and they executed it really well. I am getting a little tired of seeing AJ Smith. We saw him last year. He gets pretty cocky, pretty full of himself, pretty flashy. Getting a little tired seeing him, but I don't know what Brock Hurd went and asked him a question about what are you running now? What do you got planned for this? And he's like, same thing all year, GTFO. And I'm like, is that the game plan, or is he telling him to get the fuck out? What is going on?
Right. Yeah, he did say, get GTFO.
And Brock's face was like I think he didn't know either. Is he telling me?
Yeah. Is that a play? Is that an all go route, or is that an all go to hell route?
Right.
I'll say this though, buddy. To they had 4 sacks. The Brahmas did. The Stallions had 5 on the Michigan Panthers O line, buddy. So don't underrate the Stallions' defensive performance. Where you're sitting over there, bet detective, just ready to crown this Brahma team an old son of a bum.
They're not ready for this new Chase Garbers. I'm telling you.
McFarland does scare me. McFarland does scare. Like, to me, like, that's. You want to know? I know we're gonna get to it on Thursday, the episode where we'll talk Freedom Cup. But I'll tell you, to me, like, the blueprint for them winning is, to me, just get McFarland the ball in creative ways.
For sure, and they'll definitely lean on.
And they definitely won't do that, right?
Right. No kidding.
Yeah.
Ain't no way AJ Smith will. I agree with you on AJ Smith there. That was ridiculous. But I'm still rooting for son of a bum and Wade. I will give Tony Meatball this. And listen, I'm the one who came with Tony Meatball from day one. This XFL. So don't fucking believe this goddamn pasta fazool fucking meathead, wifey meathead. I'm not going to drag him, though, for McCarron re-aggravating his injury before halftime, like the announcers were. They were like, just take a knee. They had all 3 timeouts, and they were getting crushed. You had plenty of time to get in the field goal range, any kind of momentum builder, but going into halftime. And so I'm not going to blame him for McCarron getting hurt doing a football play. And it's not like something was completely unnecessary. They weren't down 30 or up 30 at the end of the fourth quarter. This is right before halftime in a game they need to win. They need to drive down there. What do you want him to do? Put fucking bubble wrap on him? He got hurt because he's gotten hurt, and that D-line was coming after him. So I don't blame Tony Meatball for that. That was ridiculous for the announcers to bring that up.
Even before that, San Antonio had really, to me, proven that they were the more physical team. They were taking it to him as far as just like the physicality of the game favored San Antonio. I always worried about this with the Battlehawks too. Every time I've seen Tony Meatball coach the Battlehawks, they're like a little finesse team that I always wondered if you could win a championship with that. Now, to be fair, I've on record by calling San Antonio that at certain points of the year, but they were certainly the more physical team in this matchup.
It's not just their D line anymore. Now their linebackers are playing. They're all playing. That whole defense is playing, and they've been, like I said, they've been an unders machine as well, not just a cover and win. I think they're like 9-1.
Over should have hit that fucking kicker for St. Louis. They jinxed him. He hasn't missed 12 attempts, and he misses.
Not just missing the field goal, but how did even? I still don't. The game management at the end there. How do you not kick a field goal with the onside rule?
Well, he's not qualified to be a fucking head coach, man.
He just lets the clock. Hey, how do you let the clock run out? Either one, and the passes weren't even going towards the end zone.
They threw one that was like a 1 yard pass. It's like I really like to me, watching all these, having covered all these spring leagues since, watching all of them my whole life, but covering them since AAF, the lack of coaching to me in this league, and I thought last year's XFL were very evident. And watching that game, you're just like, good God, like they're running a fucking pass play to the guy who's the most injured guy on the field. You can tell he's not his normal self, right? And we're getting creative trying to get him into the ball. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? But the league suffered from it all year, in my opinion. And I say that with a lot of people think I talk negatively about the UFL in many ways. I got into it with some fans on Twitter this week, but hey, that's my American right. I hope the league succeeds. I want the league to succeed, and I just think that to me, coaching is a definite. They need to go out there this offseason to me and be super aggressive, trying to bring in new coaches. We just interviewed June Jones on last week, and he was talking about how he turned down the league because of they had cut pay. They wanted him to be a head coach, and he said, no, I didn't want to. They had cut health benefits and cut pay. So maybe that's the issue for why we're seeing Curtis Johnson in the league or something. That's another. I've heard Hines Ward mention that. The irony is Hines Ward to me was a bad coach, but anyway, do you guys agree, right? Am I crazy? Do you think the coaching is kind of lackluster?
I mean, a lot of stuff was lackluster, but yeah, for sure. I mean, they went from names to coaches, and it just, I don't know. I don't understand the pool they went with, but
yeah, I think it's an issue though when you're trying to sell your product. And even Joel Klatt's on TV. He's not a coach, but he's like, why are they not kicking the field goal? Why are they not kicking the field? If they kick a field goal, there's only then he's like 2 plays later. There's only 12 seconds left. There's no more time, even if they wanted to kick a field goal.
I know, and it's hard. It's hard to take that with a younger guy like Tony Baloney and Tony Meatballs. He is a younger generation. You would think that every younger coach just by default knows the game theory of playing Madden and all stuff that everyone happens to know. Like I almost give if Wade Phillips did this, I kind of give him a pass because he's a grandfather and in. But like these guys, I mean, this just means you're just incompetent if you don't know this.
Well, to me, they're look. I believe that he's not qualified. Like when they hired him, you look at it, he had barely been an assistant. They just did it because he's a former NFL player. Like this shit, those decisions matter with the product we see. Me and J-Mark were talking. We host a CFL gambling podcast. We're like, man, it was pretty smooth. Like I thought the play in the CFL was very good this weekend, and a lot of that to me is because they have coaches that are qualified to fucking coach. So your team is ready and prepared, and it looks the part. And I feel like these leagues have not. I feel like this league has suffered a little bit from that. Not all the teams, but
I also feel like, you got to blame the whole coaching staff for that, right? Because everybody's communicating. Somebody should have mentioned to him, our best option is to do this. AJ McCarron, this is a guy that has experience in the NFL running the game clocks of the NFL and how faster that is. Yeah. Somebody should have said, not just him. I'm not trying to say Tony doesn't. That was bad by him. He's the head coach. It falls on him. But everybody that was involved with that, with the Battle
Gradkowski, the OC Gradkowski is a former NFL quarterback star in college, and where the fuck is he? He's the one calling these plays to his injured quarterback. He deserves a microphone in his face with people asking those questions because it was just so stupid.
Yeah. We can't rag on the coaches too much. We'll be called USFL dick suckers again.
I was just going to say, do you think they're pushing a little too hard? Now I'm thinking about it, of the narrative of the coaches, or something with the Skip Holtz to Etling. Do you think that had to come from above, of telling them to push let's get a soundbite of you going to a player and saying, hey, I'm going to do everything I can to help you out, to get you in the NFL. Wade Phillips did that with Hakeem Butler there at the end. And it was a nice moment and all, but I'm also thinking, what are you talking about, Wade?
No.
What are you going to, hey, and Wade Phillips here. Is this the Jacksonville Jaguars? Okay, Wade Phillips here. This Hakeem Butler's pretty good. I think he deserves a job. How'd you get this number? What the fuck gave Wade Phillips my number?
You part of that Ponzi scheme where, like, wasn't there someone with the Jags that was stealing all that money? But
the NFL connections, like it's an old boys network shaking hands and on the golf course. I'll tell him to give you a gig out here for on the Texans.
He does have a tryout for the Panthers, though.
Yeah,
Butler does have that tryout with the Panthers. So
no, and he deserves it. I'm not saying Hakeem Butler doesn't deserve it. Hakeem Butler was a stud, maybe the best player in the league this year. But I just like not thinking other teams are watching this tape at all, or of any kind of. Hey, Wade, I didn't watch a damn thing of the UFL. What's going on down there? Is anyone worth a damn or what?
Now that, but to answer your original question, I do feel like it's a little forced, and it seems like it's premeditated. But I don't know about you. I'm curious your take. I don't know if I'm in the minority here. To me, they could do away with all that shit. To me, like I hate the in-game interview with the coach and the players. It has no purpose to me in the game. I think it's overdone and exhausting. And I'd prefer just to just talk about elements of the game from the broadcasting booth, as opposed to just getting down there. What kind of information are they really going to give you? You know what I mean?
Right. I think it's definitely a little too intrusive at points where it makes it uncomfortable. Like that GTFO, I get him. I don't want him saying fuck AJ Smith, but at the same time, I understand what he's saying. Like, I'm trying to call a game here.
I hate it.
What do you mean? What are we looking at? What am I looking at? I'm looking at my job. But that's what I'm looking at.
But there's been a recent push from this. I've seen even like the NFL and NBA, and I saw, the Big 12's commissioner, Brett Yormark, recently say that, he's going to try to make it more like that. And I'm like, who wants this? I don't understand who wants this.
Right.
Like, do they poll people? Like,
I almost think it's a power thing with the networks because they spend so much money. They feel like they deserve, deserve all this access to it. They're almost like the owners coming into the locker room afterwards, like, I bought all this. I can go wherever I want, even though it's like, it's not their right, but there's no boundaries with this shit. So it's like them saying, don't you tell me I can't interview you now. I paid fucking $1 billion for these TV rights or whatever it is, So I don't even think, actually, you're right. I don't even think the people are demanding this.
It makes to me, it makes it like overdone. It makes me,
I don't like it. I feel
it's a negative. Yeah, I agree that to me, it's like a negative of the experience. J Mark, how so? Where are you at with this? Do you agree or do you like it?
Yeah, so I could definitely do without the in-game interviews. I mean, we don't need to hear somebody panting because they just made a big play and what'd you see on that play? And they're like, well,
yeah,
they can do without that. I like hearing some of the play calling to an extent. Sometimes they overdo it, and it's like, all right, can we talk about the game again? Can you give some analysis or whatever?
I'd rather them put like a third man in the booth. Like, imagine if you had a former NFL or college coach, and you say, "So, what do you think of this? What would you do if you were coaching this game?" To me, and that would be way more, because they used to have 3-man booths in broadcasting teams a lot more often. But that would be way more substantial than watching this. But anyway, continue. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. The other thing, I used to like listening in on the refs as they were discussing what they saw, all that. But now it seems like almost every time they're like, that was a flag, right? Okay. And what was the result of the play?
Yeah.
Were you fucking watching? What are you talking about? They've said, I've heard the refs say that way too many times. What was the result of the play? How do you not know? Are you not watching?
They had to get that thing removed. That was for sure. Unless Dino Blandino and jeans also this weekend, for God's sakes. That was a great moment. Drunken Irishman brings up the mic on Wade Phillips when the Gatorade got poured on him, and he goes, "Oh shit!" When he came, he had a hot mic moment, and it was like too cold for him.
So I didn't know this was coming. I was planning on hitting the Golden Corral in 20.
Yeah, mic up Wade Phillips at all times. I 100% agree with that.
So, I mean, I guess we can power rank this shit. Do we power rank? We know the final two teams. I have Michigan better with Bryce Perkins healthy. They're the second best team in this league.
But he's not, so you can't say that.
Hey, let me ask you this though: do you feel like Michigan would have beat St. Louis? Because I think they would have. Even with that link.
Yes, my power rankings had St. Louis 4 last week, if you recall, and I had a St. Louis future ticket I wanted just because of the home field advantage, and so even though I did have the Brahmas yesterday,
Arlington's the best team in the league, right?
Arlington is the best team in the league. I am interested, not to I know because we have a whole show to talk about the the championship game. But I am interested to see because that was the only thing that scared me off of San Antonio last night was how much will the league want St. Louis, forced our hand to have St. Louis in the championship game because it's in St. Louis, the home field. It'll be great. It'll look great. 40,000. Are 40,000 people going to show up to this game next week in St. Louis, or are those legitimate St. Louis fans?
You might have a disaster on your hands as far as six people. It might be Ford Field 2.0.
Or that's what I'm saying. Like this, now the St. Louis fans don't give a fuck. I mean, they don't want to watch the Brahmas play.
Well, I'm glad though. I'm glad because it'd be worse. Like if the league was trying to help dictate that. I'm glad it's at least. I mean, not that the better team won. The better team won on both games, in my opinion. And but it might be a little embarrassing. That's why they're stupid. Play at a fucking. You don't need to play at these gigantic stadiums, though. Like they should know that. Hey, what happens if St. Louis doesn't make this? St. Louis, even with their great crowd, can't pack that fucking thing because the whole top layer is empty.
Right.
So it looks really bad on television. To me, they should have done Aldi Field or looked for an area, a stadium of that size, 17,000. If people can't get the ticket, okay, fuck it. Who cares? It helps. Worst case scenario, it's going to look halfway full. We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't look fucking pathetic.
Or Wayne Community College. Got their field to go out there. Wherever the graduation is.
Get them free tickets. All right.
Yeah.
So I don't even know. In power rankings, I still got Birmingham 1. You got so let's just do 2 teams power rankings. I have Birmingham 1, San Antonio 2, despite the head-to-head matchup when Birmingham had already clinched. So I think I need to mention that. Bet Detective, I know you're on a different side here, right?
Well, I'm not going to remove Birmingham as number 1 because they've earned it. They've done nothing to take themselves out of that spot. But it's the gap is definitely closer than it appears. Birmingham is not afraid of them. I mean, San Antonio's not afraid of Birmingham. They did beat them, and there was a game Birmingham was trying to play. I mean, obviously the motivation wasn't the same, but
that turnout was not great either.
And I'll say that Martinez looked bad in that game too, and that was that D line. That D line really got to him. That was kind of the beginning of the downfall of Martinez. So they have question marks with quarterback coming in, and they have looked vulnerable, but yet they are still roster to roster, top to bottom, better than anyone in the league. So it's 1-2, but I'm excited for it. I mean, I hope they put a big number up because I definitely will be grabbing the points.
You don't see I see the number right now.
I did not see the number. What was it?
It's Stallions are a 3-point favorite.
Oh wow, jeez.
Yeah. But
I was hoping,
the Birmingham
for a much higher number.
I know people were mad about the Birmingham fan turnout, and I've talked to a few people that host shows for Birmingham and cover, the team there. Birmingham's had, and this is true from when I can remember, they've had 7 fucking teams. So I remember the AAF, it was like the Birmingham Iron or something. They showed out really well in that league. Right. But since then, you had, and even prior to that, they had one in the World League in the 90s. You know what I mean? They've had 10 fucking teams. The other UFL in the mid 2000s, I think Birmingham had a team. So I can part of finding a market to me is if you've had teams where the league's failed, that the fans are going to be more reluctant to buy in because they don't think the league's going to fucking make it. So that might be an issue that Birmingham's dealing with in a way. Because even jumping from the USFL to the UFL, despite keeping a lot of the team intact, I think that might be a little bit of a problem. Do you guys think that?
I agree a little bit.
Yeah.
3.5, 42 is what I'm seeing on Bet Online, by the way.
And J Mark, your power ranking. Sorry, I wanted to hit on that note. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, same as you guys. Birmingham top spot. It should be a good game though. I think it'll be a good game. I'm excited to watch it. I think if you kind of look back, Birmingham and St. Louis might have been a good game again, but I kind of feel like Birmingham would have routed them, especially if McCarron was still dealing with the ankle injury. So this might be the best matchup we could have hoped for.
I think so, considering that he was beat up, and like I said, they were dominated on the line of scrimmage. So this seems to be, to CJ's point, San Antonio. They look more sound. From to me, you watch San Antonio week 5, I'm like, that's a candy ass team, right? The way they play, I thought was very finesse. They're tougher. They're tougher now. Still, a play calling at times can be very finesse, but they're a tougher team than they were 5-6 weeks ago, in my opinion.
Yeah, but for sure, they have all the momentum in the world. They are on the ascension, and they're relying on the defense. And now with Garbers putting a little spark with the McFarland, I mean, they're gonna be a lot to hit, and they're gonna be a tough out.
Interesting choice of words, saying candy ass, because The Rock used to call people candy ass, and he's the Brahma Bull.
I was just going to say, J. Mark, who owns this Brahmas team?
Yeah, I mean, come on. You want an inside job going on here, guys? Right?
I had futures on 6 teams because I grabbed some mid-season and stuff.
Yeah.
Houston and San Antonio were the only 2 I didn't.
Yeah, I never had a San Antonio future either. Hang on, folks. I want to tell you the UFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Rhythm. If you're betting on NBA player props, you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm gives you a menu of the best player props for every single NBA playoff game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put money on in a matter of seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team full of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning their algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. Rhythm pairs its predictions with player prop graphs to help you feel a little more confident. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm finds the best player prop lines backed by AI data without you needing to endlessly scroll through some sports book. So what are you doing, folks? Claim your free 7-day trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. Once again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of MLB, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, and with killer deals, killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying your MLB tickets. So what are you doing? Take that guesswork out of buying those tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that redeeming code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create that account, redeeming code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, I'm curious, before we get out of here, you know, it's tough to create content on this. So what do you want to see next year? Has there been official word, J. Mark, on if they're going to expand? I know they were talking about expansion. If so, what would you think about adding 4 teams? And where would you put those teams? It just, you know, I know we didn't do any prep on this, but just throwing this out there.
Yeah. So they have not made an official decision. Daryl Johnston said, we're probably not going to expand. We've had those talks, but a decision will be made. So, you know, kind of talking in circles, saying they probably won't. I think you got to start with Oklahoma City, right? We looked at the viewership. They were 3rd. How do you not think about putting a team there?
Well, they own the Oklahoma City Outlaws too. That was a former team in the 80s. They own that trademark, if memory serves me correct.
Yeah.
So you have that set up. You have, I would imagine you could easily use H.A. Chapman Stadium, which ironically is the stadium they used. It wouldn't be Oklahoma City though. That was Tulsa that they used in the 80s. The Oklahoma City Outlaws ironically played in Tulsa, which I do think is like an hour or 2 away. But still, that stadium would be available. And I know even if you're going to play at Oklahoma City, like Oklahoma University is only like 20 minutes from the Oklahoma City. Norman is. I see Drunken Irishman saying the Breakers are back. I never understood why they went away. That's another thing, is like the best teams, like Breakers, Generals, and Stars were like the best teams in the league. Now Stars and Generals, I can understand Philly and Jersey. How much are they going to show up to support spring football? New Orleans, I think they could. They never played in New Orleans. They played in Memphis. So we've never seen them with the market. I don't understand. There's a soccer stadium there. I looked it up before, an MLS stadium. There's also Tulane Stadium that's there in New Orleans, Yulman Stadium. Why can't you play there? And it doesn't make any sense to me, because you think of New Orleans, I would think that people would come out and support. CJ, what do you make of expansion?
Sorry, real quickly, breaking news of the MVP came out of the UFL, and that is Adrian Martinez, who recently benched Adrian Martinez. Congratulations. MVP, the best player in the league, also cannot start for his team this week. Coming up in the championship game. Congratulations, Adrian.
They got to start him now. That means he's starting. They're going to give Skip the
MVP
call.
of the league. He did lead the league in rushing yards. Amazing. Even though he did not even start most of the games, he's still second in passing touchdowns. Deserved. But yeah, led the league in rushing with 550 yards.
So CJ, though, what would you do though? As far as would you expand, or would you just stay here and try to find the right 8 markets, or what?
Well, expansion's tricky. I mean, I don't know how the books are working here. I mean, I think they just chose the wrong cities. Like you said, we fixed this problem early on in the season. Like just bang, Seattle, Oakland, Oklahoma City, all these San Diego towns that got football ripped from their guts, and they're so hungry for it. Give it to where the people want it. Don't force feed another town like where Michigan. Like they don't know there's another team there. They don't care about that shit. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Give it to these towns that are starving, that have nothing there.
So
showing their support for it too.
Back on March 31st, the USFL Enterprises filed trademarks for the Canton Bulldogs, which I can't believe was available because it's an old NFL team, original NFL team, and then the Nashville Tuners. Maybe we see those teams. I mean, why do that if you're not thinking of grabbing those markets, or why take that shot? I still think though Nashville, I don't even know, maybe Nashville would work. I still think you hate
Louisville. You hate that Nashville Tuner name.
Well, no, like I guess they would support, but I would think like to me there's pro sports still there. Like the Nashville Predators, you'll be going
supports everything. Yeah,
I know, but to me, like why not try a city that doesn't have pro sports like Louisville, Kentucky, or Boise, Idaho, or Omaha, Nebraska? You know what I mean?
Or
like
Salt Lake City.
Yeah. You would think those ones would be.
They just rolled out the red carpet for hockey. They don't know what the hell hockey is, but they had 20,000 people and a band and the whole
their
thing.
List of names. I saw their list of names.
Yeah.
What
Frost?
So bad.
Mm-hmm.
They're
not creative. Those Mormons. That's for sure.
Who gets paid to create these names? I want to know. Some of the names we've had recently are fucking horrible.
They get creative. They get creative with marriage laws, not with team names and puns. That's for sure.
Well, I don't get.
All right, that's our show. Think about some Let us know what UFL market you think they should go to. I was saying pre-episode Mexico City makes a ton of sense.
Ooh, yeah,
it's like the 5th biggest city in the world. They don't have any pro football.
Okay, but good luck getting legal passports in half the league with the players in the rosters of these teams. They got some. We got some that can't even leave the state with their ankle bracelets.
It's not a problem going into Mexico. It's a problem coming back.
I'm just saying, a lot of their paperwork isn't up to snuff.
A lot of the paperwork in Mexico is not up to snuff. As a guy that spent a good amount of time in old Mexico, but look, 5th largest city in the world, much bigger than New York City. Get the fuck out of here. Put a team down there. They you've seen them do the NFL games. Do that. Just throwing that out there. All right, folks, let's get the fuck out of here. There we go. Fans in Mexico City reacting. Give J Mark a follow on Twitter at JMarkFootball. Check out the Old Fashioned Football Podcast, as well as the CFL Gambling Podcast, which will be going live in about an hour and a half here. Check out the CFL Gambling Podcast. Myself, J Mark, just kicking ass. Dominate. We're trying to get the Bet Detective involved. Son of bum. All right, give the son of Wade, CJ Sullivan, a follow. The Bet Detective, Scumbagger Vance on Twitter at CJ Sullivan _. Also check out the Bottom Line Bombs podcast. I think he's on the Sports Gambling Podcast talking lacrosse every week as well. Check that out as well. I'm on Twitter at DColbyD. Check out the College Football Experience. We're breaking down all 134 teams in the FBS. With a solo hour for each fucking team in the land. Check out the FCS show as well, FCS College Football Experience, and the Stadium Heads podcast. Myself and Michael Barker doing a deep dive on all the great stadiums in America, and they all reside in college football. Just a coincidence. Folks, check it out. Until next time, this is the UFL Gambling Podcast. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's looking and the whole world's looking with the gamblers. you know